Peace, everybody. It's the Beatbox back with another video. Wanted to come to you guys and talk about this Spence and Crawford rematch that is apparently off from what we saw in the tweets yesterday from Terrence Crawford. Apparently, I guess he is deciding to move on, him and his team. This is coming after Errol Spence had I believe he got a recovered procedure for his orbital bone that was fractured or broken, I believe. So I guess Terrence Crawford is moving on, but it's real funny with this situation because as serious as an orbital bone is, Errol Spence has stated that he does not plan on retiring, that he plans on to continue fighting and being the fighter that we know him to be. Of course, the fight with him and Crawford definitely wasn't his night. He definitely looked like he came in a little under the weather. He just didn't look like himself at all as compared to Crawford. Definitely looked like himself and even better than what we've seen prior. But yeah, let's definitely talk about this. So the rematch is off, which is, for some people they agree is a good thing. For some people they don't agree it's a good thing. I'm really neither here nor there. My problem isn't really the rematch because both fighters are. I'm a fan of both fighters. I tend to lean more towards Errol. I just like his fighting style, but I do respect Terrence though. But it's real funny when we talk about this fight because you know, watching fights like that and then seeing the outcomes that we saw, it kind of reminds you how fickle, how casual a lot of boxing fans are. Like a lot of boxing fans, they're not like they don't know the history of boxing. They don't know the history of boxers and their comebacks. And, a lot of people say, a lot of people agree that, the Floyd Mayweather era kind of messed up, you know, boxing when it comes to the loyal fan bases. You know what I'm saying? Because, you'll have a fighter like an Errol who basically fought them all, has one bad night, now he not shit. Now he needs to retire. Now he's washed up. Now he's all of these things. But when he got out of the car wreck and he beat Danny and he beat Ugas, he wasn't washed. You know what I'm saying? He was still all right. Has a bad night against Terrence. Now he's washed. He needs to retire. And a lot of these people, a lot of these casual boxing fans, they don't know, or in the words of Roger Mayweather, you don't know shit about boxing. You really don't. Because, for instance, just for an example, let's go back in time. Let's enter the DeLorean real quick. When Joe Louis first Max Schmeling, the first Schmeling versus Lewis fight, Joe Louis got the living shit kicked out of him. For anyone who understands boxing history and you love that old school boxing era, then Max Schmeling beat the living shit out of Joe Louis. And my favorite fighter of all time is Joe Louis. And this is why, I'm never quick to write off of Errol Spence or anybody that loses in a fashion that we're not accustomed to seeing them. And you know what I'm saying? And, if you know anything about that first fight, Joe Louis, who was America's darling at that time because Max Schmeling represented Germany. And this was during the Nazi occupation of Poland and of Europe. That him losing basically was like America losing. And he comes back a couple months later, beats Max Schmeling in one round. So he becomes the darling again after losing, and everyone loves Joe Louis, and he's great again. But when he lost and he was getting his ass whooped and knocked down multiple times, I can only imagine the things they were saying about that guy. You know what I'm saying? So that's neither here nor there. We can go back to Duran versus Leonard, when Leonard got beat fair and square by Duran. But you can only imagine what they were saying about that guy. When Ali lost to Frazier, we could only believe what they were saying about that guy. We could keep going and going. We could go back to when was it Dempsey? I don't think Dempsey lost to Tunney. I forgot. I know he got. There's the arguable knockdown in the second fight where Tunney If you know, you know. But there's so many of these. Or you could go back to I think when Jack Johnson lost. What was it? Fitzsimmons who beat Jack Johnson? Please let me know. I believe it was Fitzsimmons that beat Jack Johnson. But you have so many of these examples of great fighters losing in a fashion that we're not used to. That doesn't mean they're washed or that they're not great fighters or that they didn't have a bad maybe they had a bad night. There's always off days, man. That's what makes them great is the off days. I think people are so accustomed to seeing fighters in this perfected era where you're afraid to take a fight because if you lose, it diminishes your popularity and your market value. But I think that's why a lot of people like Pacquiao, even though he has 8 losses. When he lost in dramatic fashion to Marquez, I don't remember people saying that he was washed and all this. He still came back to beat champions and actually make a name for himself even more. So a lot of these people that make these statements, you could definitely tell that they're so fickle minded and they have no clue about boxing or the history of boxing or their loyalty to a fighter is very fickle. So I really don't listen to what they say, but it is interesting to see people really throw an opinion out as if it's as if they're burnt sugar, but they're not. But with the rematch being, I would say, postponed because I think if Errol can get like two to three good fights in him, good victories, I think Terrence would probably entertain the rematch again. But honestly, I think I agree with Mayweather in his statements where he says that uh, Spence should probably move up to 160 and skip 54. I believe that as well. I think Spence at 160 would be great. I think 54 is still a little too close to 47 for my liking. But I would definitely have him go to 160. I think he would look absolutely healthy. I think his training and his weight cut will be healthy. Yeah, I think he would come in at a more energized rate. He wouldn't look so just defeated and just ugh. The guy looked drained, man. He looked bad. And if you're an Errol Spence fan, I don't think we've ever seen him look that bad. And what a fight to look bad in against the pound for pound, arguably #1 fighter in the world. But shout out to both of those fighters, man. And if we don't get a rematch, we're definitely gonna get more great fights from them. I think both of them are both Hall of Famers, and I think it's gonna be. I don't want to see Crawford lose, but I think the only good or the only interesting thing that might come from if he's not victorious, Crawford, is just seeing how fickle the fans are gonna be to him. And if they say he's washed up, you know, and it's just like these people are crazy, man. But you guys let me know in the comments what you think. Like and subscribe, and I'll be back with another video. Peace.